Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Yarn Ambassador podcast. Thank you very much for joining me and coming back. I'm trying to get into the habit of doing these a little bit more regularly. I did Vlogmas, which I really enjoyed, but I know if I don't keep it up semi-regularly, then I'll get out of the habit of doing it. I think like with all things, it's a habit that you have to keep on at until it becomes a regular thing. So I wanted to talk you through some of the projects I've been working on. I've had a bit of a cast on frenzy thanks to Ange of Yarn and Yarns. She's got her own podcast on YouTube, which you probably know, and she does a 12 cast-ons every year, which has inspired me to cast on a lot of stuff. I like to get to a straight edge at the end of the year. And I did. I got all my Christmas knitting done and most of the things off the needles before New Year's Eve. So I thought, well, why not? I'm gonna join the cast-on party. So I thought I'd share some of the things I've been doing and talk a little bit about minis, but I'll do that at a bit later on. So one of the first things I cast on and also cast off is this hat. It's called the Glenora hat by, I can't remember. I just can't remember. I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm really sorry. But it's called Glenora. And what's exciting about it is that it's all from my hand spun. This is from some leftover Jacob fleece that I had that didn't get spun up. It was one of the first spuns I did, and I dyed it with some lichen, and then the contrast colour is the Turning Leaves colourway from Owl About Yarns that I spoke about, and it's made this really cool contrast. So I'm really chuffed with that. It's super cosy because it's stranded colourwork, and it's all from my hand spun, which is nice. One of my kind of goals, it's not a resolution, but you know, things I want to do this year is use my hand spun more, because I've just started and everybody says that it's, in order to get better at spinning, you need to knit with your hand spun so you can see what works, what doesn't work. So cast on, cast off. It's the only one. That's the only finished project that there is. The other one I cast on was a bit of an epic thing. It's going to take a while, but I'm not doing badly. This is a jumper that I designed and I wanted to rework. I had done the finished prototype, but I wasn't happy with it, so I ripped it out and started again. And I'll try and put a picture of what it looked like. It's going to be very similar. It's just the sizing and things I want to work out. So I've done the rib, and I've just started on the stag head, and I'll be working on the antlers soon. Need to revisit that. That's, whilst I'm doing the colour work on that, that's something I need to concentrate on, which is why I haven't picked it up since I cast it on. But I'm taking lots of notes as I go and making sure that I've got a decent pattern to come out of it, and that is living in this wonderful sheep in sweaters bag, which is an Emma Ball design, which you can get from Yarn and Yarns. So that's one of the kind of longer ongoing projects. So far they've all been colourwork. They're not all colourwork, but the next one I cast on is a test knit I'm doing for my lovely friend Jeanette, who I think this is her first design, and she used Charlie Button minis to create this beautiful cowl. And so I'm just working through it now. I'm on the second colour. There are 5 colours, and it makes a really nice cosy cowl, and it's really addictive. It's one of those things where you're like, oh, just do one more round of colour work. So I'm using some prototype natural dyes stuff that I did last year with the Jacob rather than the Texel that I now sell. So I just thought I'd use those up, and that's the Vintage 2020, which is a blend of all the breeds that I worked with in 2020 into this beautiful warm grey. So I'm really enjoying that. This is the one that I pick up when when I'm tired at the end of the day and I've got some TV to watch. Really enjoying working on that. I'm kind of tempted to do a row now. No, focus. And that is living in a bag that Jeanette made for us all. I got this beautiful turquoisey blue colour. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, a really special project. This is my Jeanette project. My next cast on was I wanted something quite different, which wasn't going to be colour work, that I could do without thinking about it too much. And I wanted to work with this skein of hand spun that I worked up. That was the fibre was a gift from Jenny from All About Yarn, and it was a mix. She can't spin with alpaca, and it was a mix of alpaca and silk and all sorts. I mean, it's amazing. Sorry, Jenny, that you can't work with it because I love it. So I wanted to do something with that, again working with my hand spun, and have a little bit of a different project. So I have cast on a shawl pattern, which is from Lisa Much, who is Northbound Knitting. She does some amazing shawls. She's very stylish. All her pictures are very well photographed. I mean, it's beautiful. So I'm doing this, you can't see much, it just looks like a kind of scrunchy mess. But I really liked this one because it's showing off the different flecks of colour that are in the yarn, and it's growing really fast. It's got these lovely loopy rows that I really like in a short row section. So I think I've got one more short row section to do on that, and then another loopy row, and then that one's done as well. So that's another really speedy project. So I'm really enjoying that. Again, I kind of alternate between Jeanette's project and this one for my TV knitting. And then the other thing I cast on was again inspired by Ange. She cast on an Ursa sweater, which is by Julie Sizlak, and it's this beautiful bulky weight cropped sweater. And I had a bulky sweater that I had knit that I just knew I was going to unravel it anyway, because I knew I just wasn't going to wear it in the form that it was. So it's kind of it's yarn that I wasn't quite sure about to start with, but I thought, oh well, if it's gonna ever have a chance of being something that I like, then this could be it. So I cast that on, and this is the pattern. This is the back of the pattern. So it's got this nice triangle detail. Apparently this is a half brioche stitch, but new. And so the yarn was a bit of an experiment I did with the mill, and it didn't work out. But I've kept the yarn anyway, because I don't like throwing stuff away. I thought, well, it might be good for something, but it was a bit of an experiment. Didn't work. So I've got that, and here is my, see that? So I've cast off the body. I've just got the arms to do. I might not make it full length sleeves. I might just kind of, because it's going to be, I'm going to wear it over dresses and over long sleeve things. So I'll probably just do shorter sleeves on it. I like it better than I liked the other incarnation of this yarn. It's very, very stiff. I think this pattern was designed for a very soft, bulky yarn with lots of drape. I mean, I feel like this might even be able to stand up by itself. And it obviously, because it's already been knit up once, it's already been washed and blocked, so it's not like it's softened up a lot. But I'm not giving up hope. I'm not going to spend I'm only going to do the short sleeves because I don't want to spend too much time on it, especially if it's something that I'm not going to wear. But I do like it better than the other thing I made with that yarn. So that's progress, right? I have as yet still not cast on anything with my huge spinning project. I have, in this beautiful bag from my sister, I have a huge amount of hand spun that I worked on during lockdown. And there's just something that I hadn't quite found the right pattern, and there's something about I really love the colour of it, but the colour of it for an all-over jumper is maybe just putting me off. I think it's a bit too close to my skin colour, and it might just look like I'm wandering around with no clothes on. And it's also that kind of browny beige that I know for me doesn't necessarily do anything for my colouring. So I've been trying to kind of work out how I might feel more comfortable with it, and I think I've found a pattern that I'm going to really enjoy working on, and it's a Colourwork yoke. So hopefully the kind of the colour focus will be on what the contrast colours are, rather than the kind of the beautiful background colour, which is a beautiful background colour. It's just not one I want an all-over jumper with. So I think I found a pattern which is called Flowers in Bloom. I'll put the pattern and the designer and also a link below so you can see it. Now, then the question is, do I have enough hand spun to do a contrast colour with? Or is that a project I need to work on, which will then delay the knitting of that somewhat more? So I'm still thinking about that, but it's a beautiful pattern and it has made me kind of excited about knitting with it. Although, caveat, I haven't done a swatch to see if it's actually the right weight yarn yet. Should probably do that. Hey-ho, let's not let things like swatching get in the way of plans. So yeah, tons, and I've still got my West Yorkshire Spinners Country Bird socks to work on for January. I'm working on the Mallard colourway, which is beautiful, but I haven't started on that yet. And I've also got a secret pair of socks that I want to cast on, which are like real socks that haven't been cranked, and it's been a long time since I did real socks that haven't been cranked, and I'm not quite sure how I'm feeling about that. So I've got to drum up the courage to actually cast on a pair of socks. The other thing I've been thinking about, really long range planning here, is about Advent. I really enjoyed my Yarny Advent from Alex, the British Breeds one, and the year before that I had a wonderful yarn advent calendar from Fee of Flourish Fibres, which I think I spoke about on a previous episode. And one of my friends, Katrin, asked if I was going to be doing a yarn advent for 2021. And it hadn't really occurred to me because it seemed like a lot of work, right? But then I thought, well, you know, with the natural dyes that I'm doing and the different breeds, that could make a really nice kind of collection. So some mini skeins of natural British breeds and some which were natural dyed. What did I just say? You know what I'm saying. All breeds are natural. British breeds. So, and as you know, I have in the shop, Yarn and Yarns shop, groups of little minis. You can get 10 skein minis of the 4-ply and 20 skein minis of the DK. And here's a kind of a collection of some I've been working on, which are actually making a kind of quite a nice rainbow of colours, actually, which is lovely. What's really interesting about some of these dyes is that this one here, for example, can see is a kind of a mauvey purple in indoor light, but when you take it out to natural light, it's more of the grey, and it loses that kind of purpley lilac sheen to it. It's very interesting. So I'm probably going to do an advent calendar for next year, a yarn advent calendar, a Charlie Button yarn advent calendar. But I was interested to know whether people prefer to get 10-gram minis like this, or whether a 5-gram mini works as well. So for example, I got a 10-gram mini from my friend advent calendar and made a pair of socks, and there's still tons left over. You know, for the socks I would have only probably needed 5 grams. But I know there are advent projects out there that people work on, like blankets or throws or shawls and things that, you know, would need the 10-gram ones. But obviously the 10-gram one is going to be a pricier option than the 5-gram one. So just interested to hear your thoughts about what you'd like to see out of the yarn advent, and if I'm going to do it, I probably need to start working on it kind of now. So those are Charlie Button plans. As I mentioned, you can find Charlie Button yarns and the natural dyed trios in the Yarn and Yarns website. And thank you very much for joining me. As always, if you've enjoyed this, give me a like and click subscribe. And thank you very much for being here, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.